start then. So good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm Giselle Robert, President of Site Canada, and I also represent Meetings and Conventions, Prince Edward Island. I can't believe we're on our third session. I think that's right, Liz, isn't it? For our sustainability series this year.
Yes.
And kudos to the committee for the cool virtual walk in the woods that we're going to experience today. And thank you to Heather for that. So it's great to see so many of our Site Canada members. And also we have 10 sister chapters that registered for our event. And right across the USA, the Caribbean, and further afield to Site France, we have Catherine with us, and Site India. So for those of you that are not familiar with Site Canada, let me tell you, we're a busy chapter. Right, Liz? Liz Holtby, she can attest to that.
We are a busy chapter.
So we have a very active sustainability committee led by Ambassador Liz Akey. This team has been instrumental in raising awareness, keeping us current, providing tools, and definitely inspiring us. So before I pass this over to Liz, just a quick scoop on what's happening with Site Canada. So in an effort to change things up, we created a new event called the May Mixer, held at beautiful Langdon Hall Country House, Relais and Chateau property. For this event, we partnered with Destination Toronto with a focus to attract new members from Southwestern Ontario, which is about an hour and a bit outside of Toronto. So this May Mixer allowed for a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 planners for every sponsor, which we're very proud of. As a volunteer organization, we continue to innovate in collaborative ways. We're always looking at doing some new things. So coming up next is our summer social fundraiser. Pardon? Oh, sorry. Next up is our summer social fundraiser, which is June 13th at the Roof at SoCo, Delta, Toronto.
But but that's the only one you want to put on.
We'll be mingling and grooving to the tunes with an amazing.
You should.
Sorry, Bonnie, you're on. Bonnie, put yourself on mute.
There she is. Okay, she muted.
Okay, so maybe I better repeat that for the social summer fundraiser is coming up June 13th at the Roof at SoCo in Delta, Toronto. And we're going to have an amazing auction at that event, so be sure to register. Education Day is October 25th, and that is at OCAD, downtown Toronto. It's a great day of learning on a personal, business, and industry level. And people really walk away with knowledge that they can apply right away. So much like today's special program, which is hosted by our Site Canada Western region, the events keep, as I mentioned, with Education Day, that people walk away with things they can use right away. Here to get the ball rolling is our amazing ambassador, Liz Akey. So over to you, Liz.
Thank you. Thanks for that warm welcome. And thank you, Giselle, for your leadership. You're such an awesome president. You and Liz Holtby, our past president, that's so much that you've done for us. We're very grateful. So a warm welcome to everybody. And thanks for taking time with us to celebrate Earth Day, because every day should be Earth Day with us, just not on April 22nd, but it should be every day. So we've compiled a nice Earth Hour for you so we can all reflect and learn best practices. And we're going to go into a trance with Heather through the forest shortly. But just first off, the United Nations adopted the 17 sustainability goals to be met for 2030, and only 12% have been met right now, currently, sadly. So we're not on track. However, there's a ways to go, but we're going to get there. We'll all do this together. And with our fantastic session with Heather Pelletier, we'll be sharing some valuable knowledge. With the session, we'll be focusing on sustainability development goals on number 3, which is good health and well-being. Also number 4, quality education. Number 11, which is partnerships for goals. We are delighted to welcome the Western Canadian ambassadors as well and hear their insights and their knowledge. I recently returned actually from a trip from Victoria, BC. I won from the live auction site event we had back in in the winter, our Christmas event, and which David Stavensky from Destination Greater Victoria submitted a great prize. And I was the lucky recipient of the Oak Bay package, along with Air Canada and the Marriott Hotel. But I've always wanted to experience the Oak Bay Hotel, and it was fabulous experience. And was happy to see they received a recent designation of a biosphere certification. Kudos to the team there. And always looking to see new initiatives that are being done. And what was really interesting was I saw they have a program. If you decline housekeeping services, what they'll do each evening that you decline, they'll plant 10 kelp plants in the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, which is really unique. I've heard of other ones, but again, just learning about different initiatives. So that's through Very Tree and through Ocean Wise, the nice collaboration. So again, bravo to them. I know there's many out there of which we'll share today, but that was a great one. And so Site Canada has developed an RFP checklist, which Mary Pepe started work on a couple of years ago, and it was really refined and more had been enhanced by Ruth Goritz and others from the Global Committee. And it's a great resource tool. It's on our website, but again, just aligning with a number of the STG goals when you're planning meetings and incentives. Please use that resource if you don't have an RFP checklist right now. Site Canada also created a cookbook, a plant-based cookbook, because we can have such effects and reduce our emissions and food waste through our choices of food. So a shout out actually to Clee, who's on today. You'll hear from Iconic Wineries. She partnered with us with organic wines, with our recipes, and then Liz Holtby, who did tremendous work on this cookbook. It's fabulous. It's available as well on our website. But very exciting too, we have a global cookbook that's coming out, which Mary Pepe and team, our global team, I'm on the global team as well, on the education team, and we're compiling that. Recipes will be receiving until June 30th if you're interested in submitting a plant-based. Again, we'll have chefs and from around the world that we'll be able to share. And we're growing this community and really making a difference, learning together and learning how we can reduce our footprints and overall, and just make our planet cleaner and healthier and for the future of everyone. Now, just housekeeping notes. If everybody can stay muted, as you most are. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. We will have question and answers afterwards, and it will be recorded, the session, but we're also going to be following up with notes taken from the session. So that'll be followed up. So from all notes from our takeaways. So now I'd like to introduce Luke Snyder, Manager in Convention Sales for Destination Vancouver. He's going to share some insights from Destination Vancouver and introduce Heather. So over to you, Luke.
Thanks, Liz. Sustainability is very relevant and top of mind here in Vancouver, where we recently hosted the Best Cities Global Forum, which included speakers from OceanWise, who presented to international industry leaders on topics including the responsible restoration of ocean forestation and the challenges and strategies for sustainable seafood procurement in meetings and events. I'd now like to introduce Heather, who will be leading our discussion today. Heather has been creating transformational team events for over 15 years in various roles within the incentive travel industry, including a DMO, DMC, a team building company, and hotels. She has partnered with well-known international brands such as Nike, Mercedes, and Toyota, cultivating a reputation for sustainable and innovative culture building events. Nature's Boardroom is Heather's newest endeavor, using her unique approach that applies the natural world as a lens to create meaningful change for the corporate world. She has a degree in geography and training as a naturalist. Heather collaborates with a wide range of contributors to write and deliver inspirational educational content for Nature's Boardroom workshops, relying on widely accepted academic research in forest ecology, the humanities, and business leadership. Nature's Boardroom workshops are designed to help you find productivity and resilience in your life and communities using forest ecology as an analogy. I'll now hand it over to Heather, who's going to share a 2-minute introductory video.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
So before I begin this session, I want to acknowledge that I'm hosting you today on the unceded ancestral lands of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I also recognize that I have settler ancestral roots, and I'm grateful my family has called this land home for up to 4 generations. I also recognize that I'm only part of my way on a journey of decolonization and reconciliation. And I honor that much of what I'm speaking about today regarding forest ecology has been part of Indigenous ancestral knowledge for far longer than it has been in the Western scientific community. So before I explain what you'll be learning today and the objective of the webinar, I want you to watch a video that I'm about to share and just take a moment to get centered.
Allow yourself to be transported into the forest. Take a deep breath of air filled with oxygen. Remember, this life-giving element is made by trees. As you exhale, your breath is now mostly carbon dioxide, which is a life-giving element needed by trees. It's a breathing cycle that makes life possible on our planet. Trees breathe life into you, and you breathe life into them. Once your breath is calm, focus on what you can see in the video. You might notice shades of green, the textures of the bark and the leaves. In this forest, every tree stands tall and proud, each with its unique presence and individual story to tell. But as we wander deeper into this magical realm, something extraordinary happens. It starts to feel like we are in a presence of something greater than just a bunch of trees. And you're right. Now, try expanding your perspective beyond the intricacies of each magnificent tree that you see in front of you, and think about what is happening underneath the forest floor. There are some hidden processes at work. What if I told you that trees are able to communicate, share resources, and even share information, and do so using long strands of fungal threads in the ground? Underneath the forest floor is an information superhighway, very similar to the internet. It's a complex web of signals constantly being passed back and forth, much like fiber optic cables carrying huge amounts of data. Take a moment to let that sink in. Next, I want you to try zooming out your perspective. Gradually, the forest reveals its true essence. An interconnected web of life, an ecosystem in perfect harmony. Today, we embark on a journey together, a journey that encourages us to see beyond our immediate challenges and our never-ending inbox. It's time to see the forest for the trees.
Right. So I hope you feel like I've aroused your curiosity and that you feel centered. And before I invite you to join me on another virtual walk in the woods, some of you might be wondering what you're going to be doing for the rest of the session. Well, I'm going to share the path of where we'll be going today. Okay. So we've already completed the intros from site members, and you saw my teaser video of walking through the forest. Next, you'll be listening to educational content about healthy forest ecosystems through the lens of improving the health of your own lives' ecosystems. So during this time, I'll be playing another forest walk video. Then to help you reflect on the material and start applying your learning to your own life, I'll be guiding you in a visualization exercise. Next, I'll introduce the discussion topics and ask a few of our Site Western Canada ambassadors to share some sample ideas. Then we'll use the Zoom breakout rooms feature for discussion groups. To finish up, you'll all be brought back into the main session, and I'll ask you to share your ideas in the chat and perhaps even elaborate. We'll be also leaving a bit of time for some general Q&A. And then I'll be leaving you with a parting gift sent as a video link for you to complete in your own time after the session. So before I move on, let me clarify what we offer at Nature's Boardroom. So we have 4 different types of workshops. The first is our signature experience, and that's held in person outside on forest trails. And we have facilitators in several cities, including Vancouver, Victoria, Calgary, Toronto, and San Francisco, but we can actually operate anywhere in the world where there is a forest trail and a cell signal. We also offer an indoor option where we display video similar to the one you just saw on a big screen. And then we fill the room with potted plants and yoga mats and cozy beanbag chairs, and allowing the attendees to move and stretch and collaborate freely during the session. We also believe in giving back to our community, which is why at the end of the session, we donate the plants, yoga mats, and beanbag chairs to a local school. And this version can either be essentially like a 1 or 2 hour breakout session, or it can be a wellness zone that is in some of the break spaces throughout the conference and lasts throughout the entire day with just like 10-minute segments of content. We also have virtual sessions, just like the one that you're listening into today. We have versions where you can watch virtual forest walks like you're doing, or ones where you can actually go outside and connect using your mobile connection and go for a walk in nature near your home or office. And then lastly, we have a subscription version where we essentially integrate with our customers' learning management software. And then their own internal trainers are certified to be able to facilitate our workshops. So our topics are generally a variety of soft skills. And essentially the experience is a mix between team building, professional development, and an eco tour. So at Nature's Boardroom, we have a deep appreciation for the healing power of nature. Studies have shown that spending time in nature is not only essential to our well-being, but it can have a profound effect on our physical and mental health. In fact, just looking at a picture of nature has been shown to boost IQ, creativity, and focus. So today, you won't just be looking at pictures, I'll be sharing videos of the forest. My goal is to give you a gift of a setting that boosts your well-being and reminds you of your commitment to sustainability, all while we discuss those exact topics. So as we get started, I want you to find a space where you can move your body freely and stretch and relax, but still see your screen.
The forest, a complex and intricate system in itself. It teems with life and interconnectedness that often escapes our awareness. It is in this intricate web of relationships that we find inspiration for understanding the systems and processes that shape our professional lives and the well-being and sustainability of our communities. While some might perceive the forest solely as a competition for resources, where the tallest or strongest trees dominate, a closer look reveals a more profound truth. Individual well-being is intimately tied to the health and vitality of the entire forest ecosystem. Let me introduce you to the work of Dr. Suzanne Simard, a pioneering scientist who unraveled the mysteries of the forest's hidden communication network. Just beneath the soil lies a vast network of mycorrhizal fungi, intricately intertwined with the roots of the trees. Through this fungal network, trees communicate, share resources, and support each other in astonishing ways. This reciprocal sharing and intelligent infrastructure ensures the resilience of the entire forest ecosystem during times of stress, but also allows for highly productive environments, not just for a few trees, but for the entire forest community. Dr. Suzanne Simard's groundbreaking research demonstrated that even between different tree species, this underground network fosters cooperation. In some instances, larger, older trees, often referred to as mother trees, nurture and support younger, understory trees, helping them establish themselves and thrive in challenging conditions. The mother trees, with their extensive root systems and abundance of resources, act as nurturing hubs within the forest, providing essential support for their younger companions. The interconnectedness and cooperation observed in forest ecology present a profound lesson for us as we consider systems thinking in our professional lives. Just as trees collaborate through the wood wide web, we too can foster collaboration, information sharing, and mutual support within our teams and organizations. By recognizing the collective wisdom, we can create thriving professional ecosystems that propel us toward innovative solutions and sustainable success. In the intricate web of forest ecology, one captivating character stands tall: the wise mother tree. Let's play out a story that occurs often in the temperate rainforests in coastal BC. The mother tree senses a shift in the air as aphid populations surge due to changing climate and increased CO2 levels. Picture this with me. The mother tree, with her innate immunity, she swiftly deploys natural defenses. These are resin production that increases, and she creates a sticky shield and chemical compounds that make her needles less palatable. She observes struggling neighbor trees and recognizes that to protect the entire forest community, a collective adjustment to the existing systems and processes is necessary. So the mother tree taps into the forest's ancient underground network, the mycelium, those intricate fungal threads that connect tree roots in a hidden web of communication. Through this underground network, the mother tree begins to transmit vital information, a new code, if you will, to her struggling companions. This code contains the updated strategies and defense mechanisms needed to combat the aphid onslaught. It's as if she's reprogramming the forest's living technology, empowering her community to adapt and defend themselves against this looming threat. Her messages ripple through the network, reaching the neighboring trees. The code is absorbed into their root systems, and the information spreads like a wave. As the other trees receive and interpret this new code, they too adjust their own systems and processes accordingly. Some trees increase resin production, fortifying their bark with a sticky shield against aphid attacks. Others synthesize chemical compounds, altering the taste of their needles to make them less appealing to the invasive insects. Each tree within the community receives and implements the updated code, fine-tuning their defense mechanisms to combat the common threat. This adjustment to the system not only enhances the individual tree's ability to fend off aphid infestations, but also ensures the well-being of the entire forest community. By collectively updating the code they rely on, the trees establish a unified front against the aphids, strengthening their resilience and maintaining the delicate balance of the ecosystem. In this remarkable way, the mother tree's act of updating the code demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and collective adaptation. It showcases how making a small but impactful adjustment to the systems and processes within a community can foster resilience and promote the well-being of all its members. So as we reflect on this tale, let it inspire us to recognize the importance of sharing wisdom, disseminating knowledge, and making the necessary adjustments to our own lives and communities. By embracing the lessons from the forest, we too can contribute to transformation, where every individual thrives and the harmony of our collective well-being prevails. So as we journey forward, let us be catalysts of change, or champions of shared values and architects of well-being and sustainability. Together, we can create positive change where every individual, like a tree in a forest, thrives and contributes to the tapestry of our communities. So let's recap what we know so far. Number 1, there's a hidden network in the forest that creates the infrastructure needed for a thriving ecosystem of mutual support. Number 2, the way the trees adapt is by shifting the systems and processes that occur within their ecosystem and ensuring everyone in the community is able to utilize those advantages. Number 3, the values of sustainability and well-being are driving forces in a healthy forest ecosystem. At Nature's Boardroom, we like to say that nature has a lot to teach us if we listen. Now, I know you're all listening right now, so what does this newfound wisdom teach us about our own lives? Earlier, I introduced systems thinking as a proven approach toward problem solving and innovation. I hope that by learning about the entire forest ecosystem from a holistic viewpoint, you're able to have a much greater understanding of why systems thinking is important. Solutions aren't always about the individual. They are often within collective wisdom and small shifts to systems and processes. I would argue that the key to prioritizing well-being and sustainability can be found by applying a systems thinking approach. I know many of you are meeting planners. Attention to detail is our forte. We think ahead and design engaging environments for our participants. But how often do you stop and slow down and think big picture? Is the solution to well-being as simple as a 6 a.m. morning yoga class? Is the solution to sustainable events compostable cups? These are a great start, but often they're presented as optional enhancements when really they should be routine inclusions that are automatically part of the standard operating procedures of your company. And ideally, you would take it a step further. What if well-being and sustainability were the driving forces in our professional ecosystems, just like they are in healthy forest ecosystems? To achieve this, we need a collective shift in values. Then, we need not just new ideas, but ways to communicate those ideas to others with new systems in place that automate their implementation so that they become standard practice. And I'm not just talking about your own systems and processes. I'm talking about ones utilized by everyone in your company and even everyone in your industry. What could be the result? Our industry would be stronger and more productive and would make a significant positive cultural change. So before I introduce the discussion questions and we break off into discussion groups, I want to give you a chance to use system thinking for yourselves. So I'm going to guide you in a brief visualization exercise to get you on the right path.
Here we are. So take a deep breath and imagine you are a tree. And then imagine what your version of the mycorrhizal network is. What technologies do you rely on? Maybe you use Cvent for sourcing venues. You use Salesforce for your CRM and Canva for designing proposals. You might have an intranet with information about your company and manuals for standard operating procedures. So again, imagine what your mycorrhizal technology is in your own life. Now, consider who interacts with you and who is in the network that you're imagining. Some of these people could be leaders or even mother trees. You may even be one yourself. And then think about, how does your community rely on each other? And the people in your visualization, do you rely on them? Do they rely on you? Just create some clarity of that in your mind. Now think about, what are the shared values of your organizational culture? Or essentially the ecosystem that you're imagining. Are they reflected in the driving forces behind decisions and behavior? And to what extent does your organization value sustainability and well-being? Just give that a bit of a thought. So the next step is to zoom out even further and consider the ripple effects within your ecosystem that result from the work you do. You could think of positive or negative ones. I'm sure one thing that comes to mind is the large carbon footprint required to plan a gathering, or a positive ripple effect could be the transformative experiences that you help create. Whatever ideas are popping up into your mind, you'll probably find a closer connection to them and notice that they're really your purpose. They're how you make an impact. And then we're going to move on to the discussion question portion. And I'm just going to introduce what those are so that you're a little bit more prepared as we move into the discussion groups. So the first discussion question is about well-being. So it's, how can you support your colleagues and/or event participants to help them achieve greater well-being? And consider a tangible change to systems and processes. So that's kind of the key there. And then the second question is about sustainability. And that is, how can you support your colleagues and/or event participants to help them achieve more sustainable business practices? Consider a tangible change to systems and processes. Okay, so similar questions, one about well-being, one about sustainability. So I'm going to introduce our Western Canada ambassadors in a moment to briefly describe an example of how they would answer one of these questions, so you can have a little bit more context. And then after that, we'll be automatically breaking you into small discussion groups of like 4 or less. And you'll have 5 to 10 minutes to digest that material, discuss, and connect. And then at the end, we'll bring everybody back into the main session, and I'll be asking everybody to share some of their key ideas in the chat and hopefully probing a little bit further, along with some additional Q&A. Okay, so I'm going to introduce one of our first ambassadors here. So Suzanne Reed, feel free to come on and just let everyone know about what your potential answer would be to the question about well-being. Take your mic.
Something possibly that you could do is after breakfast, there would be a barefoot connection with your destination, whether it be a forest or an ocean or a desert. And quite literally, you would take your shoes off and get grounded to set your intentions and stretch and breathe and declare the day open. Our staff at MCNA would be there to facilitate that. And we'd also include it in our proposals as an enhancement of well-being for our attendees.
Mm-hmm. So Suzanne, when we were discussing this earlier, I loved that you came up with this amazing idea based on some of the work we did together, but I push you to take it that step further and make sure that you are creating the patterns and processes in your company's ecosystem, essentially, to be able to automatically have this be standard practice for your company. An idea is great, but it's just living with you. The idea here that I'm trying to really encourage everybody to do is improve the systems and processes within their ecosystem. So thank you for expanding on that, in that the MCNA staff would facilitate it, and that it would be a standard inclusion in all of your proposals. Am I explaining that right, Suzanne?
Very well, absolutely. Okay. And yeah, I think it's something that's opened up my eyes to give enhancement options to many of our clients who are always talking about wellness and sustainability these days, and how we can actually adhere to their needs and requirements within the policies that their companies adhere to.
Mhm. Okay, and then I'll let you briefly introduce your idea for the sustainability question as well.
Yeah, so as far as sustainability is concerned, we would potentially provide a bike transfer option within our proposals. We wouldn't wait for clients to ask for this option. We would just present it as an automatic default, and the price would include our organization and logistics of this transfer option.
Amazing. Yeah. I think this is a great idea. And I know from my experience being for a DMC, the idea of having all your attendees be dispatched on bikes for their optional activities, or even a portion, or going to a venue is complicated, but I know that's what DMCs do and you would be amazing at it. And to automatically have that system all figured out and then have it be a standard offering moving forward, not something when people ask for it, but part of your company culture and part of your automatic way of doing things. So I love that. Thank you. So I'm just going to introduce Jennifer Dolnick to come on and unmute, and camera on if you like, and introduce your example answer to the well-being question.
Sure. Thanks, Heather. As Heather mentioned, I'm Jennifer. I'm from Techni Events. So we are a production company. And one of the things that we do and we look at when it comes to whether it's a gala or a conference or any style of event is how people feel when they walk in a room. So we always look at how we adjust lighting and sound as guests are walking into the room. As you can imagine, coming from whether it's a busy reception or entering into a room, whether it's in the evening or the morning, the way you feel when you walk in really kind of sets the tone and how you feel through the rest of the evening or through the rest of the day. So we like to start off with more soft lighting and more calming music. So that's what we talk about to any client that we work with right from the get-go, of building that energy up, starting at a bit of a lower level.
I love that. It's such a beautiful way of addressing well-being, and kind of expanding how we think of well-being as event planners as well. And then just automatically having that be part of your company culture and part of your system processes, and that's something that is always offered and all your clients can benefit from, and that I would imagine that you would expect the same if you had some subcontractors and things like that too. It's just part of amazing.
And it really sets the tone too, just sorry to add to that as well, is each individual is sensitive to different things. So you're really covering sort of that inclusion, diversity of however an individual does their own well-being in their workplace or in personal life as well. You're helping set that tone right from the beginning.
Amazing. So feel free to also discuss your answer about sustainability.
Sure. So we do a lot of design pieces for a variety of different events. I have one particular example of how we really integrated sustainability into an event. We did an incredibly large program in Miami in January, and we had an excessive amount of stage sets, podiums, a variety of different branded items. And what we did and what we do in general is no matter where we go, whether it's local or in the US or international, we reach out to every single supplier that has worked with us on the particular event, or ones that we know, and we send out a big email saying, we're going to have all of these pieces. take them, they're yours. So that way they can be repurposed, they can have another life. Additionally to that, we like to try and use content and AV instead of signage, instead of printed signage as well. So we try and implement that as much as possible, but it's really reusing. So it's having that design thought process from the very beginning of how can it be reused, whether it's going back to a client's office, whether it's being repurposed and changed slightly for another event. We have a few pieces from a client that they've used for 4 years, but are altered, but look a little bit different. So we do implement that into every single thing that we do. And it also leans into cost as well. So it actually, you know, is saving the client money, and it's us being responsible with budgeting that we're designing pieces like this that can be repurposed or have another life in a different area.
Amazing. It definitely sounds like you and your company are already really thinking on that systems thinking approach of thinking much bigger and automatically including a lot of those ideas. So thank you very much. Appreciate you sharing.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So I'm just going to introduce Clee from Iconic Wineries, and she's going to briefly summarize her example answer for the sustainability question. So Clee, feel free to.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
So Iconic Wineries of British Columbia, we represent 7 wineries in our collection located in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia. And one of the most recent things that our company has done is hire a sustainability manager who will be ultimately responsible for creating a team amongst our business that will support the internal which the team will evaluate the organizational commitment to sustainability. And one of our biggest focuses in the company is certainly in the wine business is sustainable farming and the wine processing practices that we have completely changed in the last 4 years to 100% organic farming. So much of the sustainability practices support those needs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real key, like this team will also be very responsible for the training of the employees. And, you know, one of the most important components in the experiences that we provide to guests that visit the wineries and purchase our wines is just the storytelling behind that. And so much of the storytelling is really focused on, you know, the farming practices and how the wine is produced. And yeah, so.
Thank you. Yeah. Your company is doing an amazing job of sustainable initiatives already. And I know you and I discussed that far in the past, but recently as well.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, your example answer here is, to me, the essence of it is, the answer is we're actually, what are we doing to improve the, you know, sustainable business practices? Your company is actually hiring somebody to oversee it. And so that in itself is like the creating the new systems and processes and building up all of that kind of infrastructure and investment within the entire, you know, business ecosystem to ensure that that sustainability is elevated as a company value and communicated, and that everybody in the community is able to really communicate and connect and share resources, and ultimately work towards sustainability even more.
Yeah.
And then your company will benefit or is benefiting in the end as well. You're creating, you know, it's it's a positive loop. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move on and just describe how the discussion groups work. So as soon as you are pushed into the discussion groups, you'll be grouped randomly. So it'll just pop up on your screen and you'll see four friends to connect with. So once you get in there, please unmute and camera on if you're comfortable with it. I am actually going to share a slide that looks just like this one that you see here. Everyone will have access to seeing that slide while you're in the discussion groups so that you can reference what those topics are that I want you to try and stay focused on. So just enjoy, discuss, ideate, connect. This is where I want you to really apply the information that maybe started popping up in your mind during that visualization, and see if you can think differently about some of these topics based on what you've learned today, and work those through as a team. And then at the end, be prepared to share your ideas in the group chat when we return to the main session. I really want, this is an incredible opportunity to have some of the best minds in the industry share what they're doing and share their ideas for the future. So I think it's really, really important that we all embrace that collective knowledge as an industry. So if there are any major questions, or co-hosts, if you have anything to add, feel free to do that now. And Liz has kindly agreed to administrate the breakout rooms and bump everyone into those now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I will share that screen once you're in the discussion groups.
Yeah, so here we go.
You're all popping back in.
Yes.
I know that wasn't nearly enough time to really totally digest the materials, but I hope it at least gave you just a brief moment to connect and really figure out how to have that absorb into your own life. We're reaching the 10:30 mark, but I would love to hear your ideas. So as we leave, please go ahead and type in what some of your best ideas are as a result of this workshop. We would love to create a resource so that we can share afterward and everybody can access each other's ideas. So I'm watching the chat right now. And for those of you that need to drop off because it's 10:30, I did want to let you know that I'm going to be sending you all a link in the chat here to a parting gift by Tommy Hanley. She's our lead facilitator for Nature's Boardroom in Toronto, and she's recorded a breath work, 10 minutes of breath work where it's oxygenating your blood and making you feel energized and focused and intentional for your day. So when we can't get outside in the real forest, where this is all virtual today, I wanted to leave you with that gift. So I'm going to share the link in the chat. And if you have a moment, please go ahead and listen to that before you move on with the rest of your day, or feel free to resource it later. And in the meantime, please write a few of your ideas into the chat. Okay. I'm just trying to share that file with you here.
Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you've had a beautiful.
Okay, so what do we see people responding here? Okay. Chris says that walk and talks are more movement incorporated into events. So that's Chris's idea. Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Yes, I think I agree. We can't sit in chairs all day long. It's just too much. And Liz has walk shops. Walk and talk meetings can be done with breakout sessions. It promotes ideas. Thanks, Liz. Aki, that's that's Liz Holtby. Thank you so much. Yeah. Deborah says more white space, time for people to think, whether in an office or during an event. I agree. People need to digest their own information. I think that's good. Really important for well-being. Inquire about food rescue options and reduce food waste. Speak to chef to modify menu and reduce waste. Absolutely. Liz, that's you and I have spoken about food waste many times. What would you do to expand on that, to just really make sure that you or your clients, how would you suggest that they take that further and ensure that
right from the beginning, to speak with who you're dealing with right from the beginning when you're working through menus and working with chef to see how you can modify it, just reducing, and also focusing more on plant-based versus going more meat, just reducing. And then for excess food, what do they do with their food? How are they working with other charities, and if not, how can we offset it? Because I was saying the food waste, 1/3 in the world is food waste. It breaks my heart for the
biggest impact we can have on events, for sure.
And little things, think of one event, the little things we can do all add up in the impacts, especially with food waste. And it's educating again from the beginning, though, asking those questions from the beginning for the RFP stage on both sides to have an understanding.
Absolutely. Gwendol says, love using the facilitated human camera exercise, which encourages people to contemplate nature with a beginner's mindset. That's wonderful. Gwendol, if you're still there, feel free to jump in and just describe that a little bit more if you're comfortable doing that. I know we're done the session, but for all those people that are still interested and still on, happy to continue the chat
Sure.
here.
It's a simple exercise. Essentially, it is pairing people up usually in a space where you do have some access to nature or plants, and one person in the pair has their eyes closed and the other one guides them to something that they would be interested for them to see, and then asks them to open their eyes, as they've been guided into the right place. And then you're set with a scene, and then you have a discussion about what you saw and how you responded to that. And so it really creates an opportunity for a dialogue about looking at space with new eyes, and also just an intentionality between the two participants. So it can be a really good starting point to get people to know each other and get in tune with the environment around them.
Nice. Our next walk, Gwendol and I have been doing walk and talk meetings since before I started having them as a company, but let's do that during our next one.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone have any comments or questions about that? Okay, I'm gonna
just such great information sharing. I love it all. It's so
good.
Inspiring.
I'm just gonna keep sharing as more ideas come in, and people are welcome to stay on. Liz Holtby, step challenges, but design extra steps into program design. Yeah, I've actually was approached by a company. I can't remember the name of them, but they will task you with a team with counting their steps, and all those steps go towards gaining points for planting trees, and then the company will plant trees for you. So it's a really nice way to encourage everybody to get out and walk. And then their motivator is that give back as well. It's pretty cool. Anything else you wanted to mention about that? Liz Holtby, you get there?
Oh, sorry, no, but it's just our group. Oh my gosh, the time flew by so fast. I wanted way more time, but it was about we talked about the step challenge, but making sure that it was integrated into program design. So it wasn't just about aimlessly running around the hotel for no reason, right? It's actually incorporating some program design in that promoted more mobility, more steps. So even like a 5K run or walk at 7 a.m. at the beginning of every day that somebody leads, to learn not only about the destination that you're in, but also to get some exercise.
Awesome. Thank you.